Hi everyone, it's Tokki, and today I'm trying out the left hand right hand challenge. It's a pretty old challenge that seems to have kind of started resurfacing, at least on my YouTube suggestions and YouTube shorts. Basically, you draw something with your dominant hand, and then attempt to redraw it with your non-dominant hand, and you see just how crappy you are when drawing with your non-dominant hand. Unless you're one of those weird ambidextrous people. Ugh. I'm jealous of you. Anyway, I decided to do a very simple drawing of Sally from The Nightmare Before Christmas, who I think has an interesting design, but simple enough features that it won't stress me out too much when I use my non-dominant hand. I did not want to do a character with super intricate details. I might have given up. So, I'm actually left-handed. I use my left hand for pretty much everything like writing and eating, and using my computer mouse and all that, but I do use my right hand for a few things, particularly with musical instruments, so I think that might help, maybe? Like, my dexterity should be a little better than people who are completely left-handed and don't use their right hand for anything practical at all. I play piano, which requires both hands, and I'm also a very, very beginner level guitar player. Now, I do use a left-handed guitar, so that probably doesn't help much. And even with the piano, I sometimes struggle with pressing the keys hard enough on my right hand, or I'll do the opposite and accidentally press too hard on my left hand compared to my right. But I'm still hoping that having that little bit of right hand usage will somewhat have helped my dexterity. Also, my husband taught me to play pool when we were dating, and I also play pool like a right-hander since he's right-handed. So yeah, let's see how that goes.
Okay, so I'm going to switch over to my right hand right now. Cool. I hate this already.
So originally, this section was going to be more of a live commentary while I was drawing, similar to my Clip Studio Paint video, but I was kind of sick when I was doing it, so the entire time I was sniffling and coughing and hacking, and it just sounded kind of gross. I tried editing out all my sick noises, but it was just way too much, and I really didn't want you guys to hear that. So I'm just gonna do another voiceover instead. The first thing I noticed when I switched the pen over was that I didn't know how to hold it anymore. You obviously can't see it in the time lapse, but the first minute or so, I was just trying to figure out how to hold the stylus to be able to draw properly. And I kept fussing with it while I was sketching. Now with my sketch, it honestly wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. Of course, it felt weird and I was struggling a bit, but I thought it would go a lot worse. I thought the lines would be really wobbly or crinkly and would just look like a completely hot mess. I told myself that it didn't come out that bad thanks to piano and pool, but I did draw the angle of her head and face wrong, so, I still messed up. Then we got to the line art, and I immediately felt the challenge increase by 100. I ended up increasing the pen stabilization a ton and would redraw the lines so much that my hands actually started shaking really badly and started to hurt and cramp up a bit, which is crazy because I can sit and draw with my left hand for hours and hours and be completely fine, but I think I had only been drawing for maybe 20 minutes at that point, and my poor underused muscles in my right hand already started to give out. I eventually just wanted to get the challenge over with, so I stopped redrawing my lines as much and would just leave most of them as they were. So I ended up giving her this wonky right arm, like it looks like it's atrophied or something, but I just didn't have the will to go back and redo it until it looked better. Drawing the little stitches all over her body was one of the harder things for me to do and made my hand shake even more. It's probably because it requires thin, quick strokes, and I didn't really have great control over my pressure sensitivity with my right hand. But it slowly got better. I think it's because I eventually stopped caring as much to make the drawing look good, but by the time I got to the legs, things started feeling a lot easier. I loosened up a little bit, and while my hand would still shake occasionally, it stopped cramping and hurting. and I noticed I was drawing a little faster. And drawing her little dress patterns, which was the thing that I was actually the most nervous about, went pretty smoothly. Well, except the one on the left with the big black circles. That took me a few tries to get through. But yeah, by the time I was getting done with the line art, I started feeling semi-comfortable with drawing with my right hand. Like, I actually started to think, if, God forbid, something happened to my left hand, that I could probably reteach myself to write and draw with my right hand with a few years of grueling practice. After I was done with the line work, I was super excited because it meant that I could just use the paint bucket tool for coloring, which meant my hand could get a little bit of a break. But I forgot to turn my sketch layer off. I think I'm still just used to Procreate, where I usually leave my sketch on while doing color fill, and the Procreate color fill only references one layer, so it just completely slipped my mind the entire time that I should turn off my sketch layer. And as I was trying to fill in the hair, I was just like, no, why is this happening? And I ended up just using the brush tool to finish coloring the hair in manually. Anyway, I eventually realized my problem and turned off the sketch layer after I was done with the hair. So I got to use the paint bucket for pretty much the remainder of the coloring process, and thankfully my lines were closed well enough that it went smoothly. The last thing is, of course, the shading. Once again, my hand would occasionally start shaking, but it didn't cramp up again, thankfully. I think my right hand drawing looks like if you took a Sally doll and gave her to your rambunctious 2-year-old for a few months. You know, like when you would give kids your dolls to play with and you come back to them and they are just absolutely wrecked, like you can still recognize the doll, but it's like, what did you do? You know, so obviously the drawing looks not great, but I think it has enough of a likeness that you can tell who I was drawing. Although Sally has such an iconic design that that's not really a hard thing to do. So yeah, I guess you guys can tell me how you think I did in the comments, and let me know if you've tried this challenge before. Thank you so much for watching this far into the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!